What's up, guys? Today we're playing Epic 7, and today we're on a subscriber account, Snow Me the Way. We are wrapping up this series so that the account owner can enjoy the collaboration coming up soon. We've met nearly all of our goals, but I can't play forever or else they might go into withdrawals. Today is all about the heroes, though. So we're going to try and roll some gear and then put some heroes together that we haven't really used before. Let's take a look at the Epic Pass. Some people have asked me whether this is worth it or not. In my opinion, the very first thing is that they should be running these much more often. We got 2 Epic Passes back to back. An Epic Pass should be at least once per quarter. This would help out players, and it seems like a missed opportunity from Smilegate for some revenue. Now, you should have at least the free rewards, which I know are not terrible, right? We see some leaves here, we see some charms, and then we see one of these conversion chests, which is great. So 6 leaves, I mean, for free, why not? But not amazing. Now, coming into the next section here, we see that we have a couple of different types of rewards. We have the charms, which is good. We have these modification, which can be good. We have the conversion selector chests, and then we have 100 each of all of the reforged materials 2 times, okay, plus 2 chests, which will give you, what is that? That'll give you 5, 6, 7, 8 reforges. Now, if you're a new player, if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of reforged materials, and this is really blocking you from progressing, I think this is definitely worth it. The same with the expeditions, which we're going to go into next. So I think that you should definitely be buying the premium pass. Now, the special epic pass, I think is not worth it. To get this chest, just not worth it. Unless you're serious end game and you are just totally wailing out, or you're just swimming in skystones and you're like, yeah, I need to spend these because I'm tired of looking at them. Go ahead. But I think for most players, it's just not worth it. We're going to go ahead and buy this pack and see all the stuff we're going to get. Very nice. This is going to help us out quite a lot with the reforging, because that's really what's holding this account back. Let's go now into the expeditions. One thing about going over and playing all these different accounts is that I see people are just not doing the expeditions, which is going to give you a ton of rewards. As you can see, like, we do pretty good damage. All 3 of these teams are doing 1 to 1.5 million, and we're going to get reforged materials as well as the modification gems. So very important for you to do. But then even more so is that now we have the full expedition list, which is going to give you a ton of a lot of different things, including these gold transmit stones, mologoras, and everything that you really need to progress. This gives you 3, and you can get additional 3 by buying the premium supply pass. For this, I mean, you can choose to do this if you like. With the upcoming collaboration, I would say not to do it. By buying the premium pass, you're going to get to reforge 1, 2, 3, 4 more different equipment. You're going to get some Molagora, and you're going to get 3 more of your gold transmit stones. And that can be worth it if you're, if you have something like 20,000 or 40,000 sky stones, that can be worth it. But we have 2 of our collaboration heroes coming up. We might have to pity them both. That means that we need to have something like 1,200 bookmarks or 10,000 sky stones per pity, which is very important to maintain because we just don't know if this collaboration is going to come back. One thing we learned with Full Metal Alchemist is it could be one and done. They never brought back Full Metal Alchemist. Now there's so many players out there who don't have Edward, who is an amazing addition to this game. We also have Espa, right? Karina, such an amazing part of the meta, and now players are not going to be able to get her or be able to get her Rocket Punch artifact, which has become very, very popular. So I would say to save these Sky Stones, when we get closer to the expiration of the reward, then we can now come in and start to do some of these things. Now I realize this says 4-1 to 531. It's only 4-1 to 430 for the collection on the premium pass. You can collect the previous expedition for an additional 30 days, and that's why it's listed here, but you can no longer buy the premium supply pass. Reforging your gear is almost as important as actually getting the gear itself, which is my whole problem with Rift. As you go into late game and the more selective you are of your gear, the more reforged materials you're going to have. On my end game account, I have like 10,000 of everything, so I can immediately roll something I'm going to use and then use it right away. And if you're early in the game, or you're in mid game, or early into late game, you don't have that kind of luxury. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to identify what kind of gear that you're going to use and reforge, and what kind of gear maybe you're just using for right now and you're going to let go later. So I'm going to help you by giving you some parameters to use when you're reforging. If we look at this piece of helmet, I want to be at a 74 equipment score when I get to plus 15. Then I want to be at an 85 when I reforge. Now this one's a 76 and an 88, so we're good there. Then I also want to have three substats that work together. In this case, I started with attack, crit chance, and effectiveness. So that's a good stat line to use on a slower hero, something like a cigarette, right? Which is who I have it on. Now my first roll was a probably an 8 into your attack. Then I rolled a couple of times into crit chance. My plus 12 roll was into speed, and then I had a plus 15 roll go into effectiveness. Now, speed at plus 12, that's pretty abnormal. Usually you get something like a flat defense or a flat attack. You have to think to yourself that you're probably going to modify it no matter what it goes into, unless you get lucky like this. So you need to be able to take it all the way to 15 if you're even going to go to plus 12. There's a 25% chance you get unlucky and your plus 15 roll goes into something that you don't need, but that's the kind of chance you have to take when you're using heroic gear. Now, another thing I want to say is that on your four-piece sets, things like speed, things like counterattack, things like the revenge set or lifesteal, I want 1 to 2 rolls into crit chance on a piece of gear like this. This means that I can use an offset, something that's other than a crit chance offset. If I have no rolls in a crit chance, then I must use a crit chance offset or pull in a hero who has something like an exclusive equipment in crit chance, try and hit that 100% for PvP. Having 1 or 2 rolls in a crit chance on your four-piece gear is going to allow you to be able to use other things like penetration or torrent. Now this one is an 88 and we're at our mark of 85. But let's look at something else. Let's look at like this chest plate here. This one's a 69, so it's below 74, and an 82, so it's below 85. This is still a good piece of gear for a couple of reasons. One is that it quad rolled into speed, which is amazing, even though the speed rules were kind of low, got some 2s and got some 3s. But also this flat health, this is a min roll. This is about a 3% roll or equivalent to a 3% roll, right? So when I modify this into crit damage or I modify it into effectiveness or into defense, that's going to raise my equipment score. So think about that. Think about how this can be transformed in the future. For this piece of gear, it rolled 3 times into speed, plus 12 was flat, and then the fourth one or the fifth one at plus 15 went back into speed, and that's amazing. That I guess that never happens to me, and it's kind of funny. It's on not even on my own account, but we're gonna hit this mark once we do the modification. But even if we don't, 20 speed roll is an amazing roll for a lot of heroes, and you're definitely gonna be able to use this piece. Take the guidelines that you have and allow them to help you narrow down which pieces that we're going to reforge. And then from there, right, think about as well how that piece is going to transform if there's anything that you're going to do to it. If I have a different piece, like let's say this piece, and I want to take out effectiveness for HP, well, now this 87 is going to go down. So maybe that goes below your mark. So this is something that you should consider as you're developing your gear. Who am I going to use it on? How is it going to change? And how long am I going to use it? If this were something like a 66 or something like a 70, I might not use it very long because I'm going to easily replace this piece of gear. So then that's something I don't want to reforge. Let's go take our chances on a helmet now. This one, again, is epic. I want a 29, 28. That's still pretty good. That's a difference of like one extra attack or one extra effectiveness, which doesn't make that big a deal. This one is attack, crit chance, and crit damage, and we have effectiveness here. We can have speed, you can have effectiveness. This works really well onto heroes that do well in hunt. So you can put it onto something like Camilla, or you can put it onto something like a Helga, or any one of those things, because we have this or effectiveness. Maybe not something like a Commander Lorena, but as long as it doesn't roll into effectiveness, that'll be just fine. If you have a Terranor guard you haven't built yet, this will work pretty well on him. Something like a Bikin I think also would be good. And we get a max roll in the crit chance and a near max roll in the crit damage. That is amazing. Let's go ahead and keep going with this helmet. Another 6 crit damage, super good. Now, one thing to note here is when you have a helmet, you want to have a damaging stat on it. So if you have an HP based hero, you want an HP. If you have a defense based hero, you want defense. And if you have an attack based hero, you want attack. If you have too many pieces of gear that are like crit chance, crit damage, effectiveness, speed, or something like that, with no damaging stat, then you're going to end up with heroes that are underpowered and don't do enough damage in PvP. Wow. Okay. That was pretty good. Well, it was a 4, so I guess not amazing. We won a 66, we get a 68, so pretty good. I do want to have one roll here into attack if I can. So let's hope we get that on the plus 15. And we quad roll into crit damage. It's pretty good, right? 6, 6, 4, 5. Is that right? Can I even count? I'm not sure if I can count. I won an 80. I get an 81. That's what matters. And because this is a crit chance set, this is going to give us a 10 crit chance plus the extra 12. That's going to be very good onto a hero that you want to meet 100% crit chance on. Now let's go into a chest plate. Now this one has health, effect resist, speed. This crit damage is what we want to avoid, and we can mod this into a defense, which is going to be good onto a lot of knights or soul weavers. And of course we get crit damage, so that's fantastic. You can stop here or you can keep rolling. I am going to choose to stop because it does not meet my threshold and it rolled into things that I hate, so we're going to go ahead and stop on that one. Now we're coming into a crit chance, crit damage, speed. Now this one has a defense as its last stat. You cannot get attack on a chest plate. So when you're going for an attack based hero, you want lots of crit chance, lots of speed, lots of crit damage. If you're on an HP based hero, then you want to have you want to have crit chance, speed, defense, HP, and probably not crit damage. Now you can swap out defense for crit damage. That's probably okay. Maybe even effect resist. But those are the combinations that I like. Now this one starts at a 29. We get a min roll into crit damage. They're punishing me for that helmet I rolled, I guess. Then we get a 6 roll into defense. So not amazing. I want a 47. I get a 46. Let's see if we can get a good roll into speed. We do. That's amazing. So from here, what I want to see is maybe another max roll into speed. That will give me a plus 12, which is a good starting place. Then a roll into crit chance. That'll be pretty good. If we can get like a 7 into crit damage, that might be okay as well. Let's see what we get. We get that roll into speed. I like it. I want a 66. I get a 69. Even this min roll, it wasn't amazing, but it'll be okay. Now I want speed or crit chance. Let's go. Can I just use powder? I can. And we get a 5 into crit damage, which isn't fantastic, but we still get an 82. I want to have an 80. Again, what we talked about, I did not get that roll into crit chance, so we're going to have to use that with probably a really high rolling crit chance piece or a crit chance set. Every time we come in and do some kind of enhancing, we have to at least try and speed check a few of these pieces. I'm going to. I'm going to quad roll speed one day. One day. It's not today, obviously. But we had effectiveness, we had speed and health onto a hit set, which is good. We could have modded this into defense, but now it's garbage. So that's unfortunate. But got to give it a try. Let's go now with one of those quad rolls into speed. That exists, right? People do that. Do they quad roll into speed? We are going to Uno roll into speed and see if we can dose roll. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so we don't. We don't, but we do okay. Now I want to be at a 42. Now I feel a lot better if this were an 8 speed, but overall this isn't too bad. We have an 8 crit chance, so that's going to mod into 10 with a 7 speed. We have one more roll to go here. Let's see if we can get a 4 speed. We get a 1 speed. 1. Y'all saw that, right? It You think 5 is hard? Try rolling a 1. That's what my luck is today. That is my luck. Here we go, another speed test. Now I have speed, effectiveness, and defense onto a hit set. It's very good. We want to avoid this flat defense here, or I guess flat health. Then we'll mod this into health and we'll be pretty good shape. I want at least 3 rolls into speed. It doesn't have to triple roll into speed, but I want 3 rolls. Now at this point here, man, don't like it. I want 57 at a +9. This went to an 11, so it's really like a 56, which is, I mean, it's close, right? If we can get 1 roll into speed here, that would be an 11, 12, 13. Maybe this is something that you want to keep onto a hero, maybe like something like Angel of Light, right? It might be something that's okay. And we're really close. I would not normally go forward with this, but we're really close to +12. Let's see if we can get that 4 roll into speed. We don't. So now this one is going to be trash. Let's go ahead and speed test this ring. Now this ring is attack, speed, crit damage, health. There's a couple of ways you can go with this. You can go into speed and health, and then you can mod this crit damage into a HP or a defense. You could also mod this flat defense into something like a crit chance if we go pretty good into speed and crit damage. We automatically get a flat defense. Now this is worth a 5, right? If we have a 600 defense hero, this is 60, that's 10%, so 5% each. So it's not terrible, but when it rolls into flat defense on the very first one, I usually give them up right away, because what's going to happen is at +15, I'm going to end up with another flat defense roll, and then I wasted a whole bunch of materials to get there. Now we're at a +9 with 3 rolls, or 2 rolls into crit damage. Nice, that was a 7 and a 6. It's pretty good. Something like this, if you're running a speed Moonlight Bellona, that might be pretty okay. Maybe even something like a speed Charlotte, like a Fire Charlotte, might be pretty okay as well. Now if we mod this defense into crit chance, it's going to be a 3 to a 5. Another option is to mod out this health, and that would be something like a 2 to a 4. So let's see what we get out of this ring now. A max roll into health. I did not expect that at all. I kind of like this ring. I kind of do. There are some heroes that we can utilize this on. We can also bring in something like a crit chance necklace. If you get a lot of your gear that rolls 2-3 times into crit damage, but doesn't have crit chance on it or doesn't roll into crit chance, then you can use a crit chance necklace and still make a pretty good hero. Let's go ahead and take this one all the way up. No flat defense. Let me get a speed, please. Or even a crit damage will be pretty okay. We get a speed, but we get a 2 because why not? So this one comes out to an 80, which is right on target where we want to be. It'll probably reforge into something around about 95. And lastly, let's take a look at some boots. And we have 2 pairs of boots that came out like exactly the same. It's the most crazy thing ever. So we have crit chance, crit damage, defense, effectiveness, right? All fives and a 7. This one is the same thing. Crit chance, crit damage, defense, effectiveness. Now we get a little bit less of crit chance and a little bit more of everything else, but it came out the same, which is just wild to me. So we are going to test some of these. Now, what you can do is you can mod the defense into attack or HP, or just keep it like this and it'll be just fine. Usually when I get a max roll like that into effectiveness, I don't mess with it. I'll just leave the effectiveness on there and put it onto a hero who has a few debuffs. Now this one comes out to a 47. We get a 5 and a 6, which are pretty mid-level rolls. And then we get a 3 into crit chance, so we're at a 55 now. So this one would be almost on target. We want to be at about a 57, and we get a 55. Now I'm curious to see if this one rolls exactly the same as the other one or not. We get a 4 min roll into crit damage, but I think our last one was in crit damage as well, wasn't it? And then we rolled effectiveness. So let's see. Okay, we get a 3 crit chance. I like that better. I like that better. But still, these are pretty low rolls now. Add a +9. We need a max roll to try and save this. And we do get a max roll into defense. So they're so similar. One's a 55, one's a 56. This one rolled crit chance, crit damage, and defense. The other one rolled into a crit damage, crit chance, effectiveness. Very interesting. Let's go ahead and see what that +12 looks like. Okay, and we get another 5 into crit damage, which is, it's okay. I want to be at a 66. I'm at a 67. Let's take this one all the way up. In fact, we'll probably do both of them. All right, 79. I want to have an 80. 79 is pretty good. Let's see what we get out of this one. Here's the +12. 5 into crit chance. Very nice. I want to be at 66. I'm at a 67. Let's go all the way up on this one as well. And we get a 7 into effectiveness. This one came out to an 80. So they both started at 30. They both rolled a 79 and an 80 respectively. How close are they? Very close. I think the only real difference is that this one rolled one more time into effectiveness, and the other one rolled in defense. Other than that, I mean, pretty much exactly the same. I'm not saying the game is rigged, but I think I just saw a glitch in the Matrix. Let's go now into our heroes and see if we can level them up any. First one I want to go into is Apoc Ravi. And we did roll that necklace in our last video. I think it was a pen necklace, right? So we're going to try and fit that onto a Ravi here. It's pretty good with 27% HP. It has some attack, crit chance, and some speed. Don't forget that even though she's an HP-based hero, she's going to get more damage off to attack as well. So whether that's attack or whether that is going to be like a defense, I think both of those are going to be pretty good. I like to have a pretty strong Ravi if I can, and I don't think we have anything else that's going to fit onto her, so she's going to be a work in progress as we start to farm out Banshee. Let's go now into the Lethe. I don't know. What we need from her is speed, HP, defense. If you have some effectiveness or effect resist, that'll be fine. We need to have 25% or more onto health. That's important for Leia. It's also important for her. So this is something that we're going to keep in mind as we go. Let's go ahead and put that one on. This one's pretty nice. I rolled that one earlier. Let's see what we have for helmets here. This one has some crit chance on it. This one is pretty good. Instead of effect resist, we want defense here. So we're going to mod that one, and we're going to put a different kind of helmet onto her. Let's go ahead and do that. I think we can do a little bit better onto Moon Bunny. What do you guys think? I know you can't answer. That was a weird question. But let's see if we can get a different helmet here. That one, I don't really like that one. This one will work. That gives her 163 while still keeping about 240. So that's pretty good. We'll just set that one up for right now. And let's go back to our lefty. Now, I don't think that we have any kind of necklace or ring. So that's going to be a future project. She can use this pair of boots. That's very good. Now, I want to see HP set here. So let's go into HP set onto speed. Looks like, again, she's using the same kind of equipment as Leia. So we got to figure out who we want to put some of this gear on and who we can sort of sacrifice on a little bit. This one has some effect resist and some defense. This one not even geared up. Let's gear it up. That's ridiculous. How come this never got geared up? This could be the most amazing piece ever. Could quad pen to roll speed? You just never know, right? Never know. Now, I would say on this type of gear, this free gear, honestly, you could take it all the way up to plus 15 right away. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. This one comes in an 82. This is actually really great for Tamarin, so we'll just go ahead and keep it on her. That's kind of funny. Let's see if we can go with this, and then let's see if we have this one. I like it. A little bit light on defense here, isn't she? A little bit light, with 245 speed with 25k on HP. That is going to be a good lefty. I like it. Let's take a look at Alencia. This is a hero that we promoted in our last video. Now, what I would like to do with her is to run her onto Injury Pen Set. She's very good at destroying heroes with a lot of HP. Things like a Ravi. You know, if you're 25,000 or 29,000 a Ravi, you know, your Alencia can take her down to 15,000 and do enough damage to destroy her all by herself. So very, very good hero. You can also bring her in something like Crow, or you can bring her into something like Eula so that they can't use their S3s. You can bring her into something like a Last Rider Crow, but you know, probably not a good idea because you're going to start to reset him super, super fast. So those are the kinds of battles I like to bring her in. I also like to use her in Standard. So this is something where I bring in a Knight and a Soul Weaver, and I protect her while she destroys everyone. For her exclusive equipment, you can run pretty much anything. Number 1 is good and gives you quite a lot of healing. Number 2 gives you more damage on your S1, S2 combo. And number 3 gives you more effectiveness. I went in and just pulled 1 because I don't have a ton of that kind of material. So we're just going to run this. Trample, I think, is very good. This is the one I usually run anyway. Onto the artifact, I would like to run her onto her own artifact. You can even run her onto the shoe artifact. I don't really have any of those though, so not 100% sure what I'm going to run her on. Maybe you can run her onto like Merciless Glutton, so she does a little bit more damage. Draco Plate would be more damage. Maybe you can pull her onto even a Durandals here, and that would be okay. I think that for me, I'm going to run her onto Draco Plate. Then I'm probably going to run a Ravi on Proof of Valor, but we're still a little bit of ways from developing a Ravi. Now, I don't have any injury set. Maybe we have some pen set. Let's just see what we have HP wise. Looks like this one is pretty good. 28 HP onto a crit chance. This one has 25. That's not too bad. We do have 27 here onto a pen set. And 26 onto a helmet. That's actually, it's pretty good. I wonder if maybe I can run her onto a crit chance set just for right now, and then beef her up a little bit later to run onto a pen set. She's still going to work just fine. So what's more important, having more crit chance or having that pen set? I think because you're going to bring her into PvP, it's more important to have her onto a crit chance than it is to have her onto the pen set. Then we can pull a pen onto a Ravi, We could also move this crit chance onto Shu. Let's play around a little bit and see what kind of gear we can run into. Honestly, it really could go either way because you don't have a lot of options at the moment. I think that having a higher crit chance onto Shu is going to be preferable because now I will be able to clear the Nightmare raid a little bit easier, including the boss and also the mini bosses, right? So this doesn't affect her very much. It makes her more tanky. She'll hit harder, which I like. Then I think what we'll do is we are going to go to Alencia and we're going to put that ring onto her. So that will be a good spot for that ring. And then we're going to try and fill in the rest with injury set. I don't really have the injury set right now. That's something that we're going to farm. When we come into APOC Ravi, she's already using a penetration set here onto her necklace. It's actually really good, 27%, fantastic. As we start to come in and do a little bit more of the counter, then we'll fill in some counter and then we'll try and get one more piece of pen set to finish her out. The Sirmia, we're also going to try and put her onto a pen set, but honestly, she can come into a counter set or really any set as long as you can hit your marks. We want something like 4,000 onto a rage set with 100% crit chance and 300% crit damage. If you run her onto a critical set, then we want the same attack, 4,000. We want to run 350 crit damage. And if you run her onto an attack set, we want 5,000 attack and then about 275 to 300% crit damage. Now let's see if we can find any gear, and we're going to try and run this onto Kawazu. Inferno Kawazu is a very easy hero to build, and you're probably getting some of this gear already. And we built this hero, or at least we promoted this hero in our last video, and we have him onto the exclusive equipment for number 2. That's going to give you immunity when he activates his passive ability, and that's really the best one. It helps into things like Payra, so that they don't lock you down and stun you after you activate that S number 2. We also run him on Spear of Purification. Now, I also run him onto the Indestructible Gators if you have it, but since I have Spear, then that'll work. Now we have Combat Readiness 10% here, so that means if we run him somewhere around 190 to 200 speed, he's going to pass 250, 260 enemy speed easy, so Spear of Purification is going to be good, and then we can level that one up. Now, what we want is to have speed set with attack pair of boots, something around 4,000 to 5,000 attack, 1,300 defense, 13k HP, around 190 speed, and then that's pretty much it. You don't want any crit chance or crit damage. You can run some effectiveness, maybe even some effect resist if that's the way your gear rolls, and be just fine. Now, if you can get them to 1,400 defense, 14k, I think that will be a little bit better, but definitely try and aim for that 4k onto the attack. And the last thing I want to do today is I want to gear up a dark hero. And for that, we're going to bring in Pillus. Now, I would really love to have a dark Corvus, but honestly, I mean, I don't have it on this, and we don't have enough gear for our A-Ravi, so Shadow Knight Pillus is going to be great. What you would normally do is put her onto a counter set, but I don't have counter. I also don't have a rocket punch. So we're going to use her as an old-fashioned tank. I want about 2,000 defense, and I want something like 28,000 HP. If you can get anything else into effectiveness or effect resist, then that'll be just fine. We have a couple of pieces here already. One is a pair of boots that's a little bit below my target of 90. And then we also have a chest plate, which is below my target of 80, but they're already here, so we're going to go ahead and use them. And I think we're going to pull in a speed set because I don't really have much else for anyone to use. So let's see kind of what that looks like. I mostly want to have HP, but high defense I think also will be pretty good. That one has a lot of crit, which I don't need. That one has some defense, which I like. It seems like what this person is rolling for is HP with crit chance, crit damage. We don't have any defense pieces here, so let's swap it over. I don't really want to take anything off of this Lilius, Maybe if I had something with a little bit higher speed, I'd want to swap out that necklace on Lilius, but I really don't unless I take this off of her and put something else. You guys know I'm not a big fan of Destina, so I don't mind taking her gear at all. Maybe I use this one, and then I swap these onto those guys. Let's do that. Now let's see if we can get something with high defense. This one works out. Okay, so we got 1800 defense and we got a little over 25k HP. Not too bad. We can do better, especially if we get a little bit better onto the weapon and a little bit better onto the chest plate, or we decide, you know what, forget it. Let's just reforge them. That should bring her up to about 26k or so. So I like this, and we are definitely going to use that. Now we come down into something like a Senya. Now, with Senya, I probably don't have the gear for her. There's a couple of ways that you can run her. You can run her at something like 240 speed and then put her on a combat readiness boosting artifact. And then that way she can boost up and then use her AoE, get provoke on everyone, and hopefully break up their turn while cycle. Another way you can run her is somewhere around about 200 speed and then try and go for tank build, right? Something like 19k HP, like 1500 defense, and then like 4 to 5k attack with some effectiveness or effect resist. Honestly, with your Guild War, it's a lot more fun to run her as fast as possible with high effectiveness and high HP defense. It just messes them up so much because they're not expecting it. But if you're using her for a tower, which is what I use her for, then any kind of general damage build is going to work. So we're going to work on her as we go in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Give me a like so other people just like you can find it as well. Until next time, happy hunting and good luck on your battles.